A few weeks ago, we got a visit from the owners of Port Townsend Rigging, one of the family-owned maritime businesses here in town. We sat in Duracell's cockpit surrounded by the trees, talking about Port Townsend and boats. Before leaving, Dan turned to us and said, "You are carrying on a long tradition in this town of young couples disappearing into the woods for a few years and emerging with a boat."
My name is Matt. Follow along as I turn Duracell, the legendary ocean racing sailboat, into a comfortable cruising home.
We moved to Port Townsend a year ago, after living aboard our old boat, Louise, for 5 years. When we lived aboard Louise, we came to Port Townsend often. We spent many nights anchored outside of town before crossing the Strait of Juan de Fuca to get to the San Juan Islands. We hauled Louise out at the boat haven, the bustling boatyard, so Matt could do a hybrid electric conversion. And when Matt had his floating shipwright business, we often spent days or weeks here while Matt worked on a client's boat. And every time we came, we always said, "Wouldn't it be nice to live here someday?" Port Townsend has all the things we love: boats, the ocean, forest, biking trails, hiking trails, a small town feel with interesting people and plenty of work for a self-employed shipwright like Matt. I am also self-employed. I spend about half my time these days helping with the Duracell project and the other half of my time in education and restoration ecology. So in the spring of 2021, we decided to sell Louise and become landlubbers in Port Townsend. 3 months after moving here, John gifted us Duracell, and Duracell moved to our backyard. While we knew we were moving to a town with a thriving maritime industry, we didn't quite realize how deep it runs. We couldn't be in a better place for bringing Duracell back to life. In addition to a general enthusiasm for crazy boat projects in this town, in fact, having a gnarly boat project in your yard is considered quite normal here, there is a wealth of knowledge and a concentration of world-class experts in their maritime trades. As we progress through our project, we will be sure to take you around Port Townsend and introduce you to some of these people and places. Today, we're going to a place that is at the center of the maritime universe here, the Northwest Maritime Center. The mission of the Maritime Center is to engage and educate people of all generations in traditional and contemporary maritime life in a spirit of adventure and discovery. The Maritime Center also hosts an epic race called the Race to Alaska. It happens every June, and the only rule is no motors. So people paddleboard, sail, canoe, etc. The first team that makes it to Ketchikan, Alaska, 700 miles north of Port Townsend, wins. Matt will probably make me cut this part, but Matt was on the winning team in the inaugural Race to Alaska back in 2015. Maybe I can convince him to share that story another time. We're here to meet Joel, who is manager of the boat shop at the Maritime Center. He also just happens to be my cousin's fiance. We'll check out the shop, and then Joel is going to help us cut ribbons for forming the mold on Duracell's stern.
I'm Joel Arrington. I'm the boat shop manager for the Northwest Maritime Center, and this is my boat shop. It's about a 4,000 square foot space in which we offer a gambit of opportunities to connect people to the sea. As an organization, that's our mission. And what I do here is mostly teach vocational and avocational style classes, allowing people to make use of their hands and build their own crafts. This year I'm teaching 17 classes. many of which revolve around the content, being able to build your own boat and then take it out and use it. The space also supports our 40-plus vessel fleet of program boats, which includes youth and adult sailing, and it ranges anywhere from our Optimist little dinghies up to a 42-foot cruising yawl and a 50-foot passenger ferry. So lots of fun stuff going on, and it's like coming to summer camp every day. So currently we're in the middle of 2 different programs. I have kind of an open platform build workshop. Like for instance here we have a Guillemot Explorer expedition style kayak. It's a 19-foot cedar strip kayak in which someone can utilize one of our programs, which is the Duckworks Takeover, and it provides professional help for myself as boat shop manager to instruct them through the steps as well as provide space. So it's a really good combination of kind of professional help, space, and the ability to offer a platform for people to work through a project that they wouldn't feel comfortable tackling on their own. We're also finishing up a couple of other projects, namely our Expedition Wherry class. Those are boats where we built 6 of like boats here in the boat shop over a 9-day span. These folks decided to come in, take advantage of the space, and continue through finish of the boat, and we're hoping to launch that Friday. And then there's another number of other projects. We've got locally designed Scout. That's another workshop boat that's getting outfitted and getting ready to go sailing for the summer, as well as a new drift boat design that's going to get built. And then kind of our big project for the winter spring has been the 80-plus foot Schooner Martha mainmast, which is hanging up here in the shop, in which the Schooner Martha crew spent the last few months building a new main for the 90-foot Schooner Martha. So a lot of fun stuff happening these days.
So this is where I'm at with the stern modification project. Last week, I cut out the frames or bulkheads that are going to kind of make the shape of the mold. And then this week, what I'm actually going to do is build the mold inside those frames or bulkheads. Joel helped me do that, and it was a pretty fun project and difficult project. Before I did that, I wanted to kind of get a better idea of what the transom was going to look like with our new design. I used the same method that I used to cut out the bulkheads to cut out the transom part, where I had stations and I made a curve that would fit that transom and cut out a mock-up piece that would fit onto the mock-up. And so on the jig, I had cut the right angle that the transom is going to be at, and I fixed the mock-up to the jig just so I could see what it was going to look like. Hey, you wanna come out to the boat for a second? Check that out.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
That's gonna be the shape. This next part took me a really long time to figure out how to do it to make it easiest on myself, and as well as to make it super fair so that I don't have to do a bunch of fairing in the end, but it's also really strong and well done. Joel and I worked on this together. He helped me cut out the ribbons with the offcuts from Schooner Martha's main mast. They're made of spruce, which is it's very clear spruce, so it's a really good wood for bending into nice fair curves. And so we are going to use the spruce to make stringers that go fore and aft through the form bulkheads that are going to kind of take the shape of the hull that we're filling in, and then take a piece of door skin, and that is going to be fit into the mold, and that will be what I actually laminate to. First, I cut notches into the bulkheads that would accept the 1 by 3/4 inch ribbons. We ran the ribbons into the notches, and then Joel used the vertical ribbons to check the fairness of the mold. We thought about cutting more notches into the horizontal ribbons to accept the vertical ones, but we decided that that would be more work than we needed to do. I made a template that would make the shape of the hull side. And then use that template to cut out pieces of the door skin. And then slipped that door skin onto the form and screwed it onto the ribbons. Now we could really see the shape of the new hole with the door skin into the mold. Please like and subscribe this video. So we have a few more Patreons to thank this week, and to start them off, I have thank you to Keith, who is my cousin. He's in Florida. He's big into race cars and also used to be into sailing. So thanks again, Keith.
Thank you, Dave, who is also in Florida and owns this bay field. He also has plans to sail to the Bahamas this year.
And thank you to Matthias. He is in Germany. He, for his pandemic project, built a Chesapeake Lightcraft passage maker and is already planning his next boat project.
Thank you so much, Andy, in the UK. Andy is a sailor, and he got his love of boats from his dad, who used to build 20 to 26 foot holes or fit them out in their driveway when he was growing up.
And thanks to Martin. He's an aerospace engineer, structural engineer, and is also building a Chesapeake Lightcraft kit boat. And lastly, thank you to Josh, who we haven't heard from yet. But if anybody is interested in joining our Patreon community, you can find us on the Duracell Project at patreon.com. So thank you again very much to everybody who has been helping support the project.
Good.
Yeah.